Hey, it's Chuck Armstrong with Loudwire Nights, and this is Loudwire Nights On Demand. We caught up with Jonathan Vigil and Zach Johnson of The Ghost Inside to celebrate the release of their new album, Searching for Solace. This first aired on Friday, April 19th. Enjoy. Well, I think if my math is right, this year marks the 20th anniversary of the start of The Ghost Inside, and whether you've been following them since day one or tonight's going to be your first time diving into their world, one thing is certain, I'd say they're so much more than just a band. They're a force and a power. And I'm so excited to get into that with frontman Jonathan Vigil and guitarist Zach Johnson from The Ghost Inside. Guys, it is so good to have you on the show tonight.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having us, Chuck. Appreciate it, man.
I'm sure it's kind of crazy to think about this. But not only is it, the night of celebration for this new album that we're going to get into, but man, 20 years, like what runs through your head when you hear the band is 20 years old? I mean, I got to ask you, Vigil, what goes through your head?
Well, it's kind of a weird question because I don't consider the band to be 20 years old because we were a band previously with a different name, different moniker, different sound altogether. And I considered the band starting in 2008 when we changed our name to The Ghost Inside. So I considered the band to not be 20 years old. I guess I've been playing music for 20 years, but it's crazy to think about something that at the time my friend was like, hey, we don't have a singer. Do you want to sing for us? And then I go, I've never sang in my life. I have no idea. And he goes, just come to practice. See how it goes. And then I just never stopped. So it's crazy. It's crazy to think about how far it's all come in that time. Well,
and that band was a dying dream, that first band. And would you say that The Ghost Inside maybe wouldn't exist if it wasn't for that band?
I mean, I think it would exist in some iteration, in some form, but I might not have been the singer because I like I said, I joined because my friend asked me to sing for them. And then it got to a point where we were kind of picking up a little bit of steam. We're writing newer sounding stuff. And we're like, this name doesn't work anymore. Like, you guys made this name when you were, in high school. Sure, and, we need a different name. So we changed it from A Dying Dream to The Ghost Inside, which is a step up, but in retrospect, it would have been cool to have like a different name altogether. But I do like The Ghost Inside, but it's better than A Dying Dream for sure.
Well, and so 2008 is let's say that's more the start of the band. Zach, that's when you started with The Ghost Inside. Is that right?
I started 2009, okay. So right after. But I mean, I met Vigil when it was A Dying Dream. So, and I mean, I believe Jim did too. So this version of The Ghost Inside wouldn't be there without that band. Yeah. So we're not 20 yet. We're still super young.
I know. Listen, I'm not trying to force that on you guys. I get it.
He's just trying to date us, dude.
We're super young, man. We're full of energy.
Yeah. We're not boomers. We're not 40 years old yet. Don't worry.
I love it. Well, listen, let's take that conversation out of it. What I do feel confident in saying, and we don't have to rehash all of this, but we are nearing the almost decade mark of the tour bus crash for The Ghost Inside that happened in November of 2015. So we're still a little bit away from that 10-year mark, but that's it's kind of, for me at least, as a fan, as a guy who just on the outside read the stories and heard about that when it happened. It's crazy to think that was 2015, and for you guys, as you've gotten back on the road, releasing new music today, what do you think about when you think about that bus crash that happened in 2015?
I mean, it all feels so close but so far away, if that makes sense, because it's something that we deal with physically and emotionally every single day in every aspect of our lives. It's kind of hard not to, with the various injuries we have. And we've done a lot in the near 10 years since the accident, and we've done a lot of growing, and it's something that is always going to be a part of us, but it's something that's not going to define us. It's not going to make us, limit us in what we can do, but it's always going to be a part of us, and there's no escaping that. That's just the reality of everything. But I think that it's made us stronger as people, maybe not physically, but definitely emotionally, getting through something like that and getting back to where we are today. And and playing songs and writing music and going on tour again, and conquering that fear of being back in a bus again. And it's something that we distance ourselves from. We don't let it hang over our heads, but it's something that is a constant reminder of, I have a fused ankle and a new ACL, and my back's a mess, and Zach's got his various injuries too, and something that we can never get away from. But just the fact that it gives us a whole new lease on what we're doing, and a whole new lease on life. It's cliche to say, but it's almost like you don't know what you have till it's gone, which is the truth, is how it was. Like, we almost lost it. And so now we're coming back into this with just everything we have, because we almost didn't have it.
Yeah. And as you guys, think about that, and as a day does not go by where you aren't reminded of that, what keeps you kind of moving forward, like holding on to that? Because, sometimes, man, tragedy hits or something strikes, and it defines you, or it becomes like the center focus for you for a period of time, and then you maybe move on, or I don't want to say move on, but you kind of lose some of that like clarity that you had. Here we are 8-9 years later, and you're still talking about you don't know what you have until you don't have it. And you've released a studio album since then, and today you're releasing the follow up to that. And so like what keeps you sort of focused on that positive side, that the victorious side of the accident, of that trauma, rather than allowing yourselves to dwell in the darkness or the sorrow or whatever that might be?
I think a lot of it is kind of the ethos of the band. We've always been a real uplifting and positive band. I've really tried to use the platform for good. I think I told myself back when I first started doing this, like, if I'm ever in a position to talk to a lot of people, I want to make an impact that is something good, not something bad. And so easy to tear down. It's so easy to be negative and hateful and spiteful, and especially something like this, it's like we could go the route of like, oh, why me? But it's like we built our career being like, no, you as a person are stronger than you think. You have more resilience than you could ever imagine. And when push came to shove, when we were in the accident, we were recovering. Like, if we had given up, if we had stopped, it would have all been for nothing. It would all been fake. And we had to prove that not only to ourselves, but we had to prove that, to everyone. And when we first came back, we had the one show booked with a one show plan. That was it. That was all we were sure of. We knew that no matter what, we were going to at least come back to play one show and play and, write at least one new song. And then that was our goal. And we were like, as long as that happens, this didn't beat us. Whatever happens past that is just bonus. So we've been living in the bonus world, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, like our fans were there through our whole recovery, the accident, and they saw the struggles we had. They saw like I got to go back in for another surgery, or see us going through PT. So we had those people there with us through those hard times. And now when we have these victories, like being able to put out another record, like we feel like we get to share that with them. So it's really cool to have that backing with the band,
Yeah, and I love that, man. And too, just hearing about like the positive side of the band anyway, of the music you make. And you think about the power of rock and the power of music that bands like the Ghost Inside create. It's cathartic. I know it's cathartic for you guys as the creators of it, as the performers of it. It's cathartic for fans and listeners, whether that's at home with your headphones on, or in the live setting and jumping up and down and screaming with a bunch of strangers who are now your friends and family because you're celebrating the same thing together. But then you throw in something like this, and it just makes that connection even deeper. And so the fact that fans responded to it in the supportive and positive way, it's not a surprise, because it just deepens that connection, and that I don't know, that feeling of hope or whatever it is that the Ghost Inside gives me, or gives those fans. And so I love seeing it on this side of it all these years later. Even
we still love seeing it too, like people have unfortunate things that happen in life, and sometimes they'll use our story as kind of a base to work through it, and then we get to be there for them like they were there for us. it's cool.
Well, your new album, Searching for Solace, it is finally out. And so we've been talking about it, kind of hinting at it. And so, I'm curious, how's it felt leading up to the release? Because I think the first sort of single came out in February. So you've been talking about new music, talking about a new album. It's been 4 years since your self-titled record came out. And I don't have to say much about it, but a few things have gone on in the world since June of 2020 when that came out. But how has it felt kind of leading up to the release of Searching for Solace?
It's been really cool. Like we put out the self-titled record as, just as us putting out what we wanted to do, like having something out that was, encapsulated everything we were going through the time and how we were at that moment. And I think this is a step up from that. It's more so like, okay, now we've gotten back. Now where do we go from here? And we worked with a bunch of different producers and songwriters on this record, and we left nothing was off the table. Like we were open to anything. We wanted to push ourselves musically, lyrically, vocally. Like we wanted to really just do the best thing we can, because it circles back again to, we almost lost it and almost didn't have this. So why hinder ourselves? Why hold ourselves back? Why not just do the best thing we can do with what we're capable of? And it's been really cool to go into something with no reservation. Whereas like before, we had a clear idea of where we wanted the self-titled record to be. And we knew it was the first record back. We knew it had to be and feel a certain way. And this one was just like, okay, now we can do whatever we want to do, whatever we need to do to just elevate what we have so far. And that was really, really freeing and really liberating feeling.
Which at this point in your career, I mean, everything you've gone through, yes, the crash, but also just releasing records and touring and all of that, like to still be able to experience new things or push yourselves in new directions, like that's got to feel great.
Yeah, and we get to work with guys that we've never worked with before. And as like a guitar player, Dan Bronstein will write part of a riff and I'll be like, we never would have thought to do that. And we're like, we can do that. So like this record is the Ghost Inside right now. I don't think we could write our self-titled again right now if we wanted to. It's really cool. And also, this is the first time since Dear Youth where we've been able to kind of have things go as they should, as far as releasing singles and then dropping the album right into a tour. So it feels nice.
Yeah, COVID was a tough time for the music and for all entertainment industry, all live industry. It was tough. It was tough to go through, especially after, we'd spent so much time recovering and then we finally got back to it, and then it was like, hey, the whole entire world is shutting down. Never mind. Like, oh, cool.
Yeah, no, that's right. Because Dear Youth came out, I mean, almost exactly a year before the bus crash. And then, you release the self-titled record in June of 2020, which is just bonkers to think back, like everything that was going on in some cities by June. Some cities were shut down. I mean, that was it. Some cities were still kind of figuring out what exactly that meant.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the accident kind of prepared us for that. So everyone was kind of scrambling, like, what do I do? And we're like, oh, first time, like.
Yeah. Well, listen, you've things going normal so far, which is great, man. And you've got plenty of live shows planned to celebrate the release of this record too, which again, like just has to be such a great feeling to be able to get out on the road, celebrate not just the band, but celebrate brand new music.
Yeah, it's exciting. We have 4 out of 5 of us live in Las Vegas now. We've kind of moved and over the years and settled here in Vegas. And tonight's the first show of a tour. It's release night, and it's night 1 of the tour in Vegas. So it's going to be exciting.
I love it. Well, we got the full tour schedule and information on the Loudwire app. So this is definitely a tour shows that you do not want to miss. Even if you got a road trip, man, I always say that, make plans, road trip, grab some buddies and hit the road. Jonathan Vigil, Zach Johnson of the Ghost Inside, thank you so much for hanging tonight as we celebrate the release of this new album, Searching for Solace. Man, we got to hang again soon and have you back on the show. I'm excited for, as you talk about just this album and kind of the next step and being able to push yourselves like it's exciting to even think like, well, what's coming after this, and what could be on the horizon for you guys.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having us, Chuck. It's awesome to be here. It's awesome to be doing this stuff again. And like I said, we're just excited to be doing this again.
Yeah, come out to a show, hear one of these new songs.
That wraps up this episode of Loudwire Nights on Demand. Stay caught up with everything happening in the world of rock and metal on the Loudwire app and at loudwire.com.